In this age of Google and Wikipedia, it is unpardonable if you do not do more than basic research on the company where you plan to go for an interview. While knowing the senior structure and the sectors in which the company works, you need to know about the competition as well as the company and its recent performance to show your keenness during the interview. All too often, students show up for an interview dressed to impress and prepared to answer questions about themselves only, but balk when the conversation turns to the company itself. It is imperative to research the company with whom you are interviewing so you can sell why would you be a great fit. You can be spot on with all other responses, but if it's apparent you don't know anything about the company, it is an immediate turn off to a recruiter. Plus, how would the employer trust you as a qualified candidate for a company if you haven't done any homework about the company or the organization? It isn't necessary to memorize the entire profile of an organization, but it is smarter to spend time browsing their website, especially the About Us section. Also, many companies hold information sessions prior to an on campus recruiting event. Employers will expect you to attend if they are having one. Doing so will further demonstrate your interest in the company. So, if a company is conducting an information session, you must attend it, even if you have done extensive research about the company and knows everything you need to. Always view these as an opportunity to make a positive first impression. Another effective tactic is to come up with a few questions to ask the interviewer about the company that shows that you have researched about the company or the employer. We will discuss this in detail in section 6 of this course. So let's understand how to research a company for a job interview. Where should you look to conduct company research? Your first research should always start with the company's own website. In addition to it, you can look into websites such as carol.co.uk, which gives the annual reports on specific research for companies. Another website called hoovers.com is a company industry research center with all kinds of comprehensive research. Websites such as Glassdoor helps job seekers discover the inside details of a company that can't be found on employers' website. When using websites like Glassdoor, you can typically find information such as salary figures, employee functions and duties, company reviews, details about the hiring process, and more. Go to LinkedIn and see if you are connected to anyone who has worked or currently works at the company. And if you are, call them beforehand and ask some question about the company, its policies, and the other details related to your job description. When you are at the interview and it's appropriate, you can mention about your in-house reference as well. These days, all companies ask for references, and it is an added advantage if you have a reference within the company itself. The skills and experience the company values. To discover the skills and experience the company values, read between the lines of their job postings. You can also find out information on the employer's career page to get an idea of the type of employees they desire. In addition, reach out to current employees who work there and ask them about what their employer values most in the workplace. Approach via LinkedIn can be of great value in such scenarios as well. Key people of the organization. Those are the people who hold important position in the company. These individuals can be managers, department directors, and especially the CEO or president of the company. You can find out who these key people are by reading the employer's About page and employee bios. It's also a good idea to check out what these individuals say on Twitter and yet again, LinkedIn to learn what employees say about the company online. When you go into a job interview, It's always a good idea to be knowledgeable about the company's latest news and updates. Most companies have a page on their website dedicated to press release and events. This is a great source for you to find out information regarding the company's latest news and updates. I'm not asking you to buy hard the news and updates. Just spend 15 to 20 minutes browsing through the page and learn the outline of the events, news, and updates. So, in case in your conversation with the hiring manager, if any of the topics pops up, you will not be surprised. Rather, you can always take this opportunity to show your interest in learning about the company if you know something about what's going on within the organization. You should be able to confidently say you are a good fit for the company's culture during any job interview if you are well aware of their mission and vision. In fact, study says 43% of HR professionals believe cultural fit is the most important quality a job seekers can have during the hiring process. It is believed that different people sharing common vision always turns out to be great team players. And who doesn't want an organization full of like minded people? As you research the employer, pay attention to what's written on their website regarding the company's value and mission. You can also learn more about the company's culture by following the organization on its social media networks. Yes, you guessed it right, Facebook and LinkedIn. As a potential employee, you need to have an idea of the type of work you would be doing once hired. By having a general idea of who the company's clients are and the types of products and services are offered, you will be best prepared for the interview, and at the same time, you will be considered as a candidate who is serious about the job. Finally, you should find out who the interviewer will be. This will give you an advantage during the interview because you will have a better chance of connecting with them and sparking a meaningful conversation. If you find it challenging to find out who is the interviewer, first try locating the person's name from the email you received regarding the interview. If you can't find any information, reply to the email politely requesting for the name of the person who will be interviewing you. Once you acquire the interviewer's name, do some research on LinkedIn and Twitter. This will help you learn about the interviewer's background, their position with the company, and even some common interests you both share. Use those common grounds to ignite a meaningful conversation. Trust me, if you are able to do only this part well, you are for sure in. But if you find no connecting points, let it go and move on. Don't try to draw assumptions and don't make connections that don't exist. If they worked at the same company that you did, they are going to see it in your resume. That's something they will bring up in an interview anyway. So if you have a common ex company, always talk positive about your ex company, no matter whether you liked it there or you hated the place. Remember, if you ever talk bad about the company, it produces very bad impression on the interviewer. Even if the interviewer says anything negative about the ex company, you must never utter a word negative. In such scenarios, just say, I understand, and I feel lucky to have not experienced it. Or just don't utter a word. What if you are interviewing with a small company with no web presence? Well, if you can't find any information on the company, you can always call the HR personnel of the company and say something like, I'm really intrigued by the company and I'm really excited to learn more. People love to talk about where they work. You can also say, I'm normally able to do some research about the company. This is totally acceptable, and trust me, it can be a great conversation starter and a connecting point. Do not hesitate doing this because this will always have a positive impression about you and your interests in the organization. Taking a look at the company's website is good enough in such cases. Once they start telling you about the company, You can take note of the points mentioned by the HR and then you can work your answers around it. While on interview, you can always say something like, from my conversation with the HR, you can mention the name of the HR you spoke with. I learned about, here you can mention the area of interest for the hiring manager. And then say something like, I worked on something very similar, and then you can start talking about your experience in that field. As I mentioned the importance of researching the company, there also exists a downside of involving way too much into researching about the company. It is a common human instinct that when we have done a ton of research, we feel like they need to be showcased. So, doing too much of research can sometimes actually work against you. I had one client who went into an interview at her dream job and she brought up recent postings she had read about the company and how its employees were unhappy with their salary. She asked the interviewer on how they were planning on handling the situation. And needless to say, that cost her the job. So always remember to only bring out or talk about the positive aspects about the company in your interview. Your interview must be a constructive discussion to land you the job you are seeking. You can have long discussions and debates when you have already got the job and you are now a full-time employee. Hold all your curiosities until you have won the interview and joined the organization.